Oh, Tashi, you're in the film. Yeah, you are. Don't mess up my pages. That wouldn't be good. And you can't stay on my lap. Silly. Tashi, I think I have to. I want to turn off that here. Okay. To get down. Thank you. That was a nice. There's one person. Adam. Oh. Hey, Adam.
Hey, good morning. How are you, David?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Made it back from Utah, had a good time, back in the office.
Aha.
So,
And do you have a new unit?
maybe I should find out today. It
Oh, I
didn't
see.
open while I was away. There's still some work that needs to be done, but we have a meeting today to see if we're good to start tomorrow.
Aha.
Um, and if not tomorrow, maybe next Tuesday is what we're thinking.
Uh-huh.
So, more to come. Find out soon, actually.
Yeah,
Um,
good.
uh, there's kind of a lot going on with that though. So I'm gonna have to kind of just listen in the background here today, because I got to keep working on some stuff to get caught up from being away on vacation. Just
That's
so you
fine.
know, okay?
That's fine. I'm going to start with um, a little bit of basic dissolving for the other two guys,
Okay,
and then talk about dissolving in gods.
okay, sounds good. So I think
So
Joanne wasn't joining us today, right? Didn't she have something
no,
going on too?
no, she's not going to be here.
Okay. Sounds good. And then I saw your email. This is the start of a new session.
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
So let me just do that right now while I'm thinking of it, because I always forget, and then it's a couple days.
Or I send you
How
it.
was your week?
Oh,
Yeah,
it's been good, actually.
good. Did you get the new tenant in?
Oh, yeah. Uh,
All right, I sent that over. Thanks, David.
There I am.
Hey, Bill.
Hey,
Hey,
morning.
good morning.
Uh-oh. I don't have sound.
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I heard you. I'm not hearing David.
David's muted at the moment,
Yeah, David's not saying anything.
Okay.
and Adam has his mask on.
Oh, can you hear me with the mask on?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Are you in
Oh,
your
okay.
office?
there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I'm at work here.
Now you can hear me?
Yeah, now I can
Yes.
hear you, David.
I so Joanne will not be with us today. So it's just you guys.
Oh,
Okay. I am recording.
yes, I noticed.
In case anybody didn't notice. So, questions?
Yeah, why can't I get more time to practice?
Uh, that sounds like a personal issue to me. You have to create more time to practice.
Yeah, that is a tricky thing. That sometimes I find myself just sort of sneaking a practice in,
Yeah.
even if it's a short one.
Yeah, yeah.
Like 10 of each one.
Yeah.
Just,
Well, you got to, you do
Yeah,
what
my
you
wife-
can do.
Yeah.
You
My
know,
wife says you do what you want to do.
true. That's true. I I have learned that. And yeah, the practice question is one that I think continues for most of us um, always, because we have busy lives. We have other people involved. We aren't individuals who are only single-minded like Bruce. Um, apparently, he literally for the 11 years he was in China, he practiced 8 to 12 hours a day. Most weeks, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
That's most of us don't have that freedom to do that.
Or drive.
Or drive. Well, yes. He has to have a lot of drive to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, practice is important. No practice, no progress.
Right.
Yes. Well, if you aren't doing it at all, you just aren't doing it, So,
That's right.
there's no point in talking about the benefits of it if you don't do it.
And if you do it, you feel the benefits of it.
Yes.
So, how about any questions at the moment about dissolving?
No.
Not really.
No. Yeah. I think. Yeah, I feel I understand that pretty well. It's identifying blockages to dissolve isn't always the easiest thing.
No, it is not, particularly when you're beginning. So, actually, I am. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, blockages versus just muscular tension might be something you could comment on that might help.
Well, sometimes muscular tension is related to the blockage. That's also a possibility. But yes, you're looking for something that's that's more subtle and more difficult to identify than physical tension. And interesting, actually, as I was preparing for today, there's a comment that Bruce made in which he said, at first, these 4 conditions that he suggests, and if you would like more information about those, I could send you another set of notes that goes into it a little more deeply. But they are really only a way in the beginning to help you begin to identify energetic blockages. Eventually, they become obvious. You don't have to have these 4 conditions, but in the beginning, they are subtle and they are difficult to identify, and at least these give you something to use to really begin to try to get in touch with those. And I think one of the things to recognize about that is that the third one, something that doesn't feel quite right, especially if you don't know what it is probably the most important one in some ways, because that's what many of them are in the beginning. And then sometimes when you have recognized it as that one, as you begin to work with it, you realize some other element about it as strength, tension, or contraction. But it really is just something that doesn't feel right. And it's in the beginning, there aren't any other words that I have, I think, to make it more clear. You
Yeah.
just have to accept that it takes a lot of practice before you
Yeah.
really begin to clearly feel that you are recognizing energetic blockages.
Yeah. I guess part for me, the feeling of things being right and sort of being in a zone feeling, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's a great minority of the time that I'm practicing. You know, it's not like most of the time it's all right and now I feel something's not is off. I'm mostly trying to, you know, get it all together and flowing, and that does happen. But I would say most of the time I'm saying, oh, I need a little correction here and a little more flow here, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Well, one of the things, too, is that you have to get past the stage of thinking about what's the next movement I have to do.
yeah, well that I'm past. I'm it's feeling that yeah, I'm not that that's never an issue, but just the feeling of, gee, this is really flowing well, and I'm barely thinking about it. I'm going through
Mm.
and doing it. That's the one that's elusive and fleeting.
Well, yeah. So in a way, you're talking about flow, which is um, certainly it's related to releasing energetic blockages, because if you get rid of energetic blockages, then your flow is going to be better. Um, I'm not sure we ever reach what we would really like it to be, but it does get better as we continue. So there is a distinction here between just feeling that the movements are going well and recognizing the energy flow inside the body and where it is blocked, where it has an interruption of some sort. Um, and you can have a pretty good flow of the form, whatever form you're doing, God's or a Taiji form. You can have a pretty good flow of the form, but still be aware of energetic blockages. One of the things is that they now are saying that there are somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 energetic channels in the body. And so this gives us a pretty wide range of places where we might have some sort of an interruption. And you could have pretty good flow of the energy in the body through most of it, but still have individual spots where there is some sort of interruption that needs to be resolved. So making that distinction, I think what I would say is, based on my experience in the meditation class, because that's where we really focus on dissolving, there and also in the standing practice in energy gates, but mostly in the meditation class, I think it takes most of us a good year or more before we really begin to feel like we're recognizing energetic blockages. So
I subscribe to that, certainly, because I did I was in my second round of the meditation class. My difficulty now is mostly not identifying them, but identifying while I'm doing the form.
Hmm.
Um, uh, if I'm still standing, sitting, whatever, I can go through my body and find some things. But if I'm doing the form, I may notice something, but it's beyond me to resolve it while I'm doing the form.
Hmm.
Um,
It's not, that's, yeah. So,
requires too much focus. Yeah.
or less thinking about.
Okay.
Um, so what I wanted to do today, just because we have different levels of experience here with dissolving, was to do a short standing dissolving practice, which is until you feel that you can simply stand and dissolve. It is going to be difficult to do dissolving while you're doing God's.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, however, eventually, when you get to the point where you can do your dissolving while you're doing the movements of God's, it can be even more strongly effective. And so I wanted, we'll see if we have enough time, but I wanted to do both a fairly short standing dissolving practice and then talk a bit and do a dissolving practice while doing some of the movements of God's.
Okay.
So one of the things about that is that it will give you a method of doing that, not just sort of randomly trying to dissolve and do God's. So, so we'll try to give you some tools here today.
Yes.
So, as you know, we're at this moment we're really only working with outer dissolving. The other method, which we come to later on in this practice, is inner dissolving. And that deals with more serious spiritual issues and with serious things in your unconscious mind. And that's the method that's used to resolve those kinds of things. And that, as I said, will come later. When we start, you can do this with your eyes open or closed. But the general recommendation in the beginning is to start with your eyes closed so that you're not distracted by whatever is going on elsewhere in the room or in the space where you're practicing. So if you'll stand, and Adam has to work, so
I'll follow along the best I can, David.
I know
The camera
that's
off. Okay.
fine. You do, you take care of all those people there.
I'll do the best I can.
Well, Bill, while we're waiting for Bill to come back, you can just stand and breathe.
Sorry, I had to relocate my cat.
That's okay. So just stand in your basic structure and be very aware of that basic posture. The edges of your hands can be touching the sides of your leg, but it's important that the armpits be open and that your perineum is always open. And let your feet really connect downwards, energetically into the earth. And your head lift off the top of your spine and connect up through Baihui into our universe. Really feel the energy sinking through your body. Try to allow yourself to clearly feel that energy flowing downward. And extend your mind through your body. And remember, we are going to start at the crown of the head. And remember what I talked about, thinking about the body in layers, like you're a sliced salami. Each slice is a different layer. So begin at the top of your head and allow yourself to begin to feel downward and become aware of any place that you feel any tension or strength, particularly something that doesn't feel quite right, especially if you don't know what it is, or any type of contraction. As you know, these indicate a blockage. With more experience, you'll just get to know what an energetic blockage feels like. But in the beginning, you're not sure. It is terribly vague. So these 4 things will help to let you know when you're in the neighborhood. So for this practice, let's say that you feel something in the space between your eyebrows, a blockage. And so you're going to try and go ice to water and water to gas. And if it succeeds, that's great, but let's say that it doesn't. In that case, you want to let your intuition to tell you whether to go to the left or the right, and it won't make a great deal of difference which. And let your mind start going around your head at that level until you feel another blockage. And let the energy of that first blockage combine with the second one. And then again, ice to water, come into relaxation, and water to gas, releasing. resolving. And let's say you do get a resolution. If so, then you still go around your head until you arrive back at the location of that first blockage. And more likely than not, you won't encounter any other blockages. But if you do, then you do the same thing all over again. But let's say you don't find any more at that level. So there are two possibilities of what has happened at this level. You have resolved the blockage that you found, or you didn't. And then when you get back to between your eyebrows, just start letting your energy drop down again, looking for any place that you feel any strength, any tension, anything that doesn't feel quite right, especially if you don't know what it is, or any form of contraction. Just let your mind start to go lower until you find the next blockage. And then if there is any energy from that first blockage that needs to come down, let it drop down and combine with this new blockage. And again, ice to water, water to gas. And you have two possibilities, of course. You're going to release it or you're not. If you release it, no problem. Just go around your head at that level and see if there's anything else. But if there isn't, just go to the next blockage. Start the process all over again. But if you weren't able to release that blockage, let the combined energy of whatever previously unresolved blockages there were transfer to the next one on the same level. And again, ice to water, water to gas. And let's say it didn't resolve again. So go down and combine with the next blockage lower, maybe at your throat notch, and then dissolve that combined energy. Ice to water, water to gas. And again, either it resolves or not. You know, there's one thing to be aware of. In dissolving, you sometimes will reach a point where your intuition says, if I do this for 5 minutes or 5,000 hours, this blockage is not going to resolve. So just transfer that energy to the next place that feels blocked. Don't feel you have to tough it out, or for the rest of your natural life, because all that will just take time. And all those blockages in your body are interlinked. And it may be something down around your knees that's actually going to resolve what that blockage is really about. So you do your best, and that's it. So pause and relax. And you can sit down for a minute. So one of the things I do want to mention, just and there's a little more about it in the notes, but when you're standing, you do want to dissolve all the way to the bottoms of your feet and into the earth. If you're seated, you only need to dissolve down to your lower dantian. So, but in relation to what we're doing, we really would want to work with standing if possible. So, questions? Did that help at all?
Well, I was able to work successfully with the first one up back here. And then I think there were probably 2 or 3 things, or are going on. I felt like I put a dent in a little bit of it. And when I got partially rid of one thing, another popped up in the same area. So,
Yep. They will do that.
That was useful. I happened to have a chiropractor adjustment yesterday, and he's real good. He works on my neck, and he does acupressure points along the spine, and he cleans out the sinuses. He does a lot of little things as part of the adjustment.
Oh, good.
So I got down through my head pretty well, except for a little place in my throat. But having just having those few minutes of doing it is helpful to have it narrated, and I'll have a little more elevated approach than this past week. So.
Yeah, it's you have to be very gentle and forgiving of yourself, because this is not easy. It is wonderful. It in the long run, it can be extremely beneficial, because you gradually begin to clear out things that have been stuck. probably for years. That's one of the things about this method is that it's not just talking about surface. It automatically, as you go more deeply into it, begins to deal with things that have been blocked in you for a long time and helps to release that, which can help you live a happier and more calm and pleasant life.
One thing that you didn't mention in the narration that I'm wondering is if there's a correlation with or how you can incorporate breathing methods with, ice to water to gas.
So, generally speaking, and actually, interesting enough, I'll talk a little more about breathing in relation to doing it with gods, but making the breaths, using the full or as much as you can of the 6-part longevity breathing that we've been working on. And making that breathing as smooth and calm as possible will really facilitate this working better. Absolutely. There is not a particular, at least I have never experienced it or heard that it's true that using a particular way of breathing with the release makes a difference beyond that. In other words, you're not trying to do it to get the release with an exhale. It may come with an exhale, it may come with an inhale. Keeping the breath smooth and not holding your breath, letting it relax and lengthen is more important than trying to align the breath with the release.
David, going all the way back to the Negon classes, and then patching that together with what we're doing now, I find that the blockages I recognize from the past, they're in the same place and of the same sort. Would that be an indication that internal work needs to be done?
Yeah, it probably means that ultimately real resolution, fuller resolution of those places would probably come with inner dissolving.
Yeah.
And there's several more advanced methods in Taoist meditation that are focused on recognizing what we refer to sometimes as the blockages behind the blockages, or the blockages that are connected to the initial blockage, because usually it's not just one. I mean, we start kind of thinking about it as it's just one, but in the reality is that everything, as I think I mentioned, is interconnected. And so very often what we recognize as an energetic blockage has several other layers or parts to it that also have to be released.
Okay.
And so, yes, inner dissolving works more deeply with those. And if you're really interested, I can blow your mind with some other practices.
Well, I think probably what I should do is go back and look at the notes. I can't remember how far we went with inner dissolving, but
Well, we went quite a ways with inner dissolving, but there are, as I said, I have the current meditation class has been going for, some of those people have been working on this for 8 or 10 years. And we're into some rather interesting work, working really deeply into really those issues, because when you begin to really get into that level of those interconnected blockages, you're usually, eventually at least, working with the unconscious mind. And so, yeah, it begins to be very subtle and very deep.
Yeah.
It's this whole dissolving practice is one you kind of have to take one step at a time, as we do everything else, because you have to get through the layers. So, let's see. So when you're doing dissolving in gods, one of the kind of issues is that you have to keep on dissolving while you keep on doing the movements. And I think Bill mentioned that he had begun to discover there were some issues in doing that, which indeed there are. When your body is in full motion, what you're going to do is use whatever your wherever your hands are as you're going through your etheric body, to feel where you have a blockage. If you've never done outer dissolving before, it's certainly recommended that you do standing dissolving for a while before you try to do it in movement with gods. But let's say you're doing movement 6 and your hands are starting to come down in the center, and from your etheric body, all of a sudden you can feel a glitch in your head. Or you are coming back in movement 1 and you feel a glitch in your chest. So you're feeling where you're blocked. And what you do initially is where you feel a blockage, you just want to slow down a little bit and then continue. Now, the slowing down a little bit is just giving your mind the ability to recognize that blockage, know what you're dealing with, and then keep on dissolving ice to water, water to gas. And you're going to be doing that all the time that at the point that you felt, as long as it takes until you get a resolution. Or you realize that you're not going to be able to, and so you have to let go and move on to the next one. So this is all being done while you're moving. First, your movements locate a blockage, you slow down, and then your mind has to get into that blockage and begin the process of dissolving. Then, as your hands keep on moving and doing all the things that they're supposed to be doing, your mind keeps on dissolving that point until you get a resolution. And whenever you get a resolution, stay in emptiness. Feel good about it. And then the next place your hands hit a blockage, you repeat the same process. So usually the way you want to do this is that you begin with your hands starting to go down, and you start from the crown of your head, and you just go through the body layer by layer, as is normally done in dissolving. Now, one thing about ice to water, when you hit the point ice to water, that's relaxation. Even if you only stay in the water phase, that state enables you to start releasing your muscles and your tissues, and they naturally start to stretch. Because when your muscles are under tension, they don't stretch that much. But when they start releasing that tension, you start pulling against the insertion points in your body, and that's when your muscles are going to normally begin to lengthen. Now, another way you could do this is that you could just have the general sense of dissolving and just dissolve your etheric field. You're not going to be concerned with whether you get a resolution in your etheric field. You're just going to keep on dissolving whatever your hands touch. And the next stage after that would be that when you locate a blockage in your etheric field, you slow down your mind, lock into that blockage, and you keep on doing what you're doing as you dissolve that blockage. Now, there are several ways in which this can get done. The process goes even more interesting when you get to inner dissolving, but that is a later stage. So this can extend so that every single time you come back in, you still redissolve wherever your hands are. And then when you hit the next lower point where you have a blockage, your mind goes into that, and you just keep on playing, doing God's playing in the clouds. You're making a bridge between your conscious and your unconscious mind so that your conscious mind can encompass more of what the unconscious mind is quite aware of. So stand up again. And breathe and be aware of your body. And we're going to just start with movement 4. So just bring the arms up as if you're at the end of movement 3 and coming down into movement 4. As you do, just be open to if you hit a blockage. And if you do, just slow down a little bit so that your mind can lock onto it. And then continue moving and dissolving. Ice to water, water to gas. After that little slowdown to lock your mind into the blockage, you speed up again and just move at your regular pace as you continue dissolving. And this, of course, reminds us of a perennial human issue. When I was a kid, was called, can you walk and chew gum at the same time? And I'll tell you, that's a pretty good way of describing this. So if you feel that you get a resolution, you start again from the crown of your head and dissolve down through what has been released. And then the next thing that shows up, you repeat this whole process. So this is a very tricky thing to do. Paying attention to all these chi flows in your body and your arms moving. And you have a part of your mind focus on the blockage while all these things, chi things, are going on. Trying to keep on releasing. But this is all part of the process of linking your unconscious mind to your conscious mind. Because the conscious mind will have trouble with it. But when you finally relax enough so that you start to penetrate inside your unconscious mind, it doesn't have a data storage problem. It literally has no limit to how much data it can process. There is a big difference in going from your conscious mind, which could only process 7 plus or minus 2 new pieces of information at a time, to your unconscious mind, which actually virtually has no limit to what it can do. If it relaxes and is not fighting inside itself between different things that are blocked. And as you get better and better eventually, when you feel a blockage, you will actually be able to go into your unconscious mind without blockages originating from that. And then you'll work that. But for the longest time, you're going to be working on what your conscious mind is recognizing as a blockage. And then over time, in the more advanced stages of gods, it will become about penetrating from the conscious and the unconscious mind. And then you can work directly inside the unconscious mind. And we'll go through the upward process of dissolving later on as well. Since just as you are dissolving downward, we will also be dissolving upward. When you're first starting, it doesn't become an issue, because even if you are moving through your body, it's a question of what your mind is locked on inside of you, and you are consciously dissolving that. Now, how can you pay attention to all these things at once? Well, you know, if you were to take a liver, it is theoretically supposed to have 212 distinctly different biological processes happening all at once. And if you were to consciously try to keep track of 212 biological processes of your liver, you would probably go slightly crazy. and probably fail. But your unconscious mind doesn't have any problem being aware of all of that and working with it. So next time you come down, make the transition to movement 5. And as you go down, stay aware of where you feel something. When you do, slow down a little, let your mind lock on to that place, and then keep moving. But let your mind continue to remain focused on dissolving that spot. So you have to get your mind to relax enough so that it can accept that you can do all of this. Anything new is always a bit tricky in the beginning, but you get used to it as you practice. And when you finally get a release, then you would just keep on continuing the movement. And from the point where you got a release into gas, you keep on going down your body until you find the next blockage. And then you repeat the exact same process. And you do this again and again and again. Now, as you do this, you could feel a blockage in your central channel or anywhere on the left and right sides of your body. But now I want you to think about a second way of doing this. Begin to really feel your etheric body. Really get in contact with the boundary of your etheric body. The next time you start coming down, where do you feel a blockage in your etheric body? When you feel it, slow down a little, let your mind enter it, let your mind know what it is, and then keep moving at the normal speed as you dissolve that blockage in your etheric body. So you are really walking and chewing gum at the same time. You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, your movements, as well as you're walking and dissolving that glitch in your etheric body. And whenever you reach a new blockage, don't stop moving. You just slow down for as much time as it takes your mind to lock into that blockage. And then you go back to normal speed and keep dissolving it. And then make the transition to movement 6. So whenever you're doing God's playing in the clouds, it's your decision whether you want to dissolve a blockage you're feeling in your physical body, or whether you want to dissolve one that you're feeling within the boundary of your etheric body. Or for that matter, if you want to dissolve a blockage between the boundary of your etheric body and your physical body. It could also be a blockage inside of your etheric field. Which one you choose to do is your decision on a day-by-day, moment-by-moment basis. Now, movement 5, when you're going up your central channel, and now in movement 6, when you're going down your central channel, you might in the same place, you could have very different types of blockages. And don't think that they should replicate or not replicate. They're each based on the energy flows that will often show up different things in your body that are locked deep inside your system. And the object is just to dissolve what you can be aware of. So if you make your breath very smooth and very calm, and as much of the 6-part longevity breathing that you're able to do, you're going to find that will make it a lot easier to feel blockages in your etheric body. And I do mean a lot easier. So make this your last movement and then pause and relax. So sit down. So as I said earlier, it really helps, I think, to be comfortable doing standing dissolving before you begin to try to do it with the movements of gods. And I talked about several different ways that you could be working with dissolving within gods, and you don't want to try to do them all at once or jump around between them, but rather practice just one at a time until it feels comfortable, and then try another one. So what did you discover in doing that, or what questions, or?
Two things. One, I have bone spurs in my shoulders, and I was pretty certain that that was what was causing some of the discomfort. Should I treat that as a blockage?
Well, that certainly will contribute to it.
Yeah. Okay.
You do want to pay attention to that. If that's causing pain, you may need to make the movements smaller.
Yeah.
But you certainly could work on dissolving, because it would probably help those places. I don't think it's going to remove them by any means. But go ahead.
Interestingly, that was the second thing that showed up in the standing meditation. And I worked on it there, and I worked on it in 4, and I worked on it in 5, and finally got it in 6. And I don't know, I felt like my arms and hands in particular were carrying a lot of chi.
Oh, good.
And it, I feel fine now. So,
oh, good. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Bill?
Yeah, it was, it is a very useful session for me. I felt a building blockage in my shoulders, which was tension, muscular tension primarily, which wasn't present very much right at the beginning of when we started the practice, and it seemed to build. But identifying it and going after it some was useful.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything we can do to get tension to let go
Yeah.
is helpful.
Yeah. Well, thinking about it in that little different way than just relaxing your tension is
Absolutely, because the tension certainly creates blockage. So it definitely is another way to approach it.
yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking sort of all tension is blockage, but all blockage isn't tension.
You're right. You're right. And it's interesting as you begin to play with this, to discover how you can use it to help release pain in the body, because it can do that. It can help, maybe not necessarily completely resolve it, but it can help improve it. So it's a useful tool. And I have a couple of students with migraine who found that if they started dissolving immediately before the migraine was fully established, they could either eliminate it or improve it.
Oh, that's a gift for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so it's dissolving is very useful, indeed. So, anything further at the moment?
No.
Okay. So you kind of have to decide what is the appropriate level of approach for you. And I do encourage you not to feel that you have to do dissolving within gods yet. But it would be helpful to do standing dissolving to prepare for that, certainly. Yeah. Good. Well, thank you muchly.
You, David.
Thank you.
This was a new beginning of a new session. So we're off and running again. Still.
Okay. Oh, right. I'll engage in a trot.
Yeah, I'm not doing much running anymore.
It's too jolting on the rare occasion that I try it.
It is absolutely. I was saddened when my chiropractor told me I really should stop running because it was causing further damage to my back. But
I had the same experience.
but I think he was right. So, well, great. Have a good week.
Okay, you too,
You
David.
also, David.
Yep.
Yep.
Take care, Bill. See you.
See you
Bill.
next week.